Hi dear students, today we are going to learn about Five Kingdom classification. Do you know who proposed Five Kingdom classification? Yes, R.H. Whittaker. In which year? 1969. So let's start. R.H. Whittaker, 1969, proposed Five Kingdom classification. The kingdoms defined by him were named. Do you know which are the names? Yes, very good. Kingdom Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. And which are the classification criteria he used? That we have to understand. The main criteria for classification used by him include cell structure, thallus organization, mode of nutrition, reproduction and phylogenetic relationships. Very important point, but you have to underline that. The main criteria for classification used by Whittaker include what? Cell structure, thallus organization, mode of nutrition, reproduction and phylogenetic relationships. Phylogenetic relationships means evolutionary relationships. Table 2.1 gives a comparative account of different characteristics of the five kingdoms according to the criteria used by him. How the comparison is there regarding the characteristics of all these five kingdoms, that we can see in the table. Let us see the table now. Here characters are given, then five kingdoms names are given. So one by one character we can see. First of all, the character cell type. According to the cell structure or cell type, Kingdom Monera, they are prokaryotic. Means what to understand? Yes, primitive nucleus. They are not having well-developed nucleus and membrane-bound organelles. Then Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. In all the other four kingdoms except Monera, they are eukaryotic. Means having well-developed nucleus and membrane-bound organelles. Next characteristic, cell wall. In the case of Monera, cell wall is non-cellulosic. It's made up of polysaccharide and amino acid. In the case of Protista, cell wall is present in some. In fungi, cell wall is present, but that is not with cellulose. That means without cellulose, their cell wall is there. And it is known as fungal cellulose, or we can call it as chitin. In case of Plantae, cellulosic cell wall is present. And you know that in animals, cell wall is absent. Whenever we have to distinguish animal cell and plant cell under the microscope, how we are easily identifying them? On the basis of the cell wall only there. If cell wall is absent, that is an animal cell, and if cell wall is present, it is a plant cell. So in that case, in Animalia, cell wall is absent. In all others present, with some conditions there. Some of them are having cellulosic cell wall. Some of them are not having cellulose, but cell wall is present. In the Protista, cell wall is present in some only. In the case of Monera, non-cellulosic cell wall is there, and it is made up of polysaccharide and amino acid. Now nuclear membrane, that we already told in the case of prokaryotic, otherwise in the case of Monera, nuclear membrane is absent. But in the case of eukaryotic, as you know that it's present, so Protista to Animalia. That means in Protista, fungi, plantae and Animalia, nuclear membrane is present. Body organization. In the case of Monera, it's cellular. In Protista, also it is cellular level. In fungi, it's multicellular in some, and in some it's loose tissues. Aggregation of cell, but it is loose there. In the case of plantae, further development you can see that tissue and organ level is there. And in Animalia, the highest level you can see that is tissue, organ and organ system level is there. And when coming to the point or the characteristic of mode of nutrition, Monera, they are autotrophic. That is chemosynthetic and photosynthetic, and heterotrophic. Chemosynthetic and photosynthetic. With the presence of light, if food preparing, then it is known as photosynthesis, and with the help of chemicals, then it is known as chemosynthesis. And if they are depending on others, then they are known as heterotrophic. And in that heterotrophic, again they are of two types, saprophytic and parasitic. Saprophytic means they are deriving the nutrition from the dead decaying organic matter, and parasitic means in that they are depending on the host for their nutrition. So mode of nutrition, here we can see it's autotrophic also there, heterotrophic also there. In autotrophic, both chemosynthetic and photosynthetic types are there. In heterotrophic, saprophytic and parasitic types are there. Saprophytic and parasitic types. Now, in the case of Protista, mode of nutrition is autotrophic. That is photosynthetic and even heterotrophic. That means both the types are there. Autotrophic also there, heterotrophic also there. But in autotrophic, only photosynthetic types. In fungi, they are only heterotrophic, and in that mainly saprophytic and parasitic. In plantae, as you know, they are having chlorophyll in their leaves, so they are able to prepare the food by themselves through the process of photosynthesis. So obviously they are autotrophic. Animalia, heterotrophic, that means they are depending plants for food, and they are of holozoic type and saprophytic type. Holozoic means they are taking the food and engulfing, that's known as holozoic. Saprophytic means, as you know, what is that? Obtaining nutrition from the dead decaying matter. So these are the characteristics present in each kingdom according to Whittaker. That is 5 kingdom classification. So which are the main criteria for classification used by Whittaker? Cell structure, thallus organization, mode of nutrition, reproduction and phylogenetic relationship. Let us look at this 5 kingdom classification to understand the issues and considerations that influence the classification system. So what we are seeing here, let us look at this 5 kingdom classification to understand the issues and considerations that influence the classification system. Earlier classification system included bacteria, blue-green algae, fungi, mosses, ferns, gymnosperms and angiosperms under plants. In the last session we discussed that according to 2 kingdom classification, that is Plantae and Animalia, all the plants are coming under which one? Kingdom Plantae only. There it was not divided as unicellular, multicellular, photosynthetic, non-photosynthetic, like that. So here we are saying the same point. Earlier classification systems included bacteria, blue-green algae, fungi, mosses, ferns, gymnosperms and angiosperms under plants. The character that unified the whole kingdom was that all the organisms included had a cell wall in their cells. So why they were kept under plant kingdom only? The reason behind that was all of them were having cell wall in their cells. So according to the fact or according to the learning, whomso having cell wall usually kept under plant. That's why all these were even kept under plant kingdom only. This placed together groups which widely differed in other characteristics. Because of the presence of only cell wall, all these were kept under the same group, but they were widely differing in other characteristics. The characteristics of fungi widely differ from bacteria. It widely differs from mosses. It widely differs from gymnosperms and angiosperms, like that of all. It brought together the prokaryotic bacteria and the blue-green algae with other groups which were eukaryotic. So as keeping them together under plant kingdom, what happened? This placed together groups which widely differed in other characteristics. It brought together the prokaryotic bacteria and the blue-green algae with other groups which were eukaryotic. Even it also grouped together the unicellular organisms and the multicellular ones. Say for example, Chlamydomonas and Spirogyra were placed together under algae. See here, it also grouped together the unicellular organisms and the multicellular ones. For example, Chlamydomonas and Spirogyra were placed together under algae. The classification did not differentiate between the heterotrophic group, that is fungi, and the autotrophic green plants, though they also showed a characteristic difference in their walls composition. The fungi had chitin in their walls, while the green plants had a cellulosic wall. So here, according to the earliest classification, whomso kept under plant kingdom, afterwards it was found that because of the presence of only cell wall, we cannot keep them under plants. Many of the other characteristics, they are differing. Great difference is there. Now what is seen here? If we are considering cell wall, the wall composition, fungi had chitin in their walls, while the green plants had a cellulosic cell wall, but all of them were kept under the same group. When such characteristics were considered, the fungi were placed in a separate kingdom, that is kingdom fungi. All prokaryotic organisms were grouped together under kingdom Monera, and the unicellular eukaryotic organisms were placed in kingdom Protista. Kingdom Protista has brought together Chlamydomonas, Chlorella. Earlier they placed in algae within plants and both having cell walls. With Paramecium and Amoeba, which were earlier placed in the animal kingdom with lack cell wall. See dear students, once again this point you have to understand. When such characteristics were considered, the fungi were placed in a separate kingdom fungi. Earlier they were kept under plant kingdom only, but then after, because of these characteristics, they were taken out and kept in a separate kingdom, that is kingdom fungi. All prokaryotic organisms were grouped together under kingdom Monera, and the unicellular eukaryotic organisms were placed in kingdom Protista. So what were kept under prokaryotic organisms? All prokaryotic organisms were grouped together under kingdom Monera, and unicellular eukaryotic, because eukaryotic in that unicellular, multicellular both are there. So all prokaryotic together kept under Monera. But when coming to the matter of multicellular, what happened? Means unicellular and multicellular. The unicellular eukaryotic organisms were placed in kingdom Protista. And in kingdom Protista has brought together Chlamydomonas, Chlorella with Paramecium and Amoeba. So earlier this Paramecium, Amoeba, they were kept under kingdom Animalia because they were not having cell wall. But when considered other characteristics, even they were also taken out from that and kept under kingdom Protista. Even this Chlamydomonas chlorella, they were also placed in algae within plants because of having cell wall. Now they were also taken out and they kept under kingdom Protista. So kingdom Monera, they are having all prokaryotic organisms. Kingdom Protista, in that all unicellular eukaryotic organisms are placed. Then we can see here, it has put together organisms which in earlier classifications were placed in different kingdoms. This happened because the criteria for classification changed. The earliest classification that was only based on morphological characteristics. Then after many characteristics were considered, and then the classification ancient it was based on use. But then after over change of time, the criteria were also changed. This happened because the criteria for classification changed. This kind of changes will take place in future too, depending on the improvement in our understanding of characteristics and evolutionary relationships. So now what we are learning, now which organism we have kept under particular group, it can be also changed in future. Why? This kind of changes will take place in future too. Why? Depending on the improvement in our understanding of characteristics and evolutionary relationships. Over time, an attempt has been made to evolve a classification system which reflects not only the morphological, physiological and reproductive similarities, but is also phylogenetic, that is, based on evolutionary relationships. So what we are saying here, over time, as the time passed, as it's going on, an attempt has been made to evolve a classification system which reflects not only the morphological, that means external, then physiological and reproductive similarities, but is also phylogenetic. It's also considering what? Evolutionary relationship, that is phylogenetic. In this chapter, we will study characteristics of kingdom Monera, Protista and fungi of the Whittaker system of classification. The kingdoms Plantae and Animalia, commonly referred to as plant and animal kingdoms respectively, will be dealt with separately in chapter 3 and 4. So according to Whittaker, 5 kingdom classification is there, and according to 5 kingdom classification, the 5 kingdoms named, which one? Monera, Protista, fungi, Plantae and Animalia. From these first 3, Monera, Protista, fungi, we are going to learn about them only in this chapter. And we are having in the first unit 4 chapters. From that, the 3rd chapter is totally for plant kingdom and the 4th chapter is totally for animal kingdom. So in those chapters, we will discuss regarding Plantae and Animalia in detail. Here we are going to start with which one? Kingdom Monera. So what we told, first of all, kingdom Monera includes what? All prokaryotic organisms were grouped together under kingdom Monera. So kingdom Monera. So now according to the studies, according to Whittaker, whatever criteria he has taken for classifying, based on that, kingdom Monera, in that bacteria are the sole members of the kingdom. Sole means the only members. Bacteria are the sole members of the kingdom Monera. They are the most abundant microorganisms. They are the most abundant, means they are found in a large number. They are the most abundant microorganisms. Bacteria occur almost everywhere. Hundreds of bacteria are present in a handful of soil. if we are taking a handful of soil, in that also hundreds of bacteria are present. They also live in extreme habitats. Wherever the possibility is not there of surviving, there also bacteria are living, such as hot springs, deserts, snow and deep oceans, where very few other life forms can survive. Where it's very difficult to survive for all the life forms, only few can survive. In that areas also, who is able to survive? These bacteria are able to survive. Many of them live in or on other organisms as parasites also. Means as an external parasite or internal parasite, in that form also they are found. So what we have discussed, kingdom Monera. Bacteria are the sole members of the kingdom Monera. They are the most abundant microorganisms and they occur almost everywhere. Hundreds of bacteria are present in a handful of soil. They also live in extreme habitats such as hot springs, deserts, snow and deep oceans, where very few other life forms can survive. Many of them live in or on other organisms as parasites. This paragraph is clear for you? Okay. Now, bacteria are grouped under 4 categories based on their shape. In the first paragraph, we told about their habitat where they are found. Now we are going to learn about their classification, and that is also based on their shape. Bacteria are grouped under 4 categories based on their shape. The spherical coccus, plural is cocci. The rod-shaped bacillus, plural is bacilli. The comma-shaped vibrium, plural is vibrium. And the spiral spirillum, plural spirilla. In the figure 2.1, bacteria of different shapes given. From that you can understand cocci, this plural of coccus, it's spherical shaped. Then coming to rod-shaped bacillus, bacilli is plural. And the comma-shaped vibrium or vibrio plural. And the spiral-shaped spirillum. So based on the shape, bacteria are grouped into how many types and which are they? Yes, they are based on the shape, they are divided into 4 categories. They are spherical coccus, rod-shaped bacillus, comma-shaped vibrium and spiral-shaped spirillum. Though the bacterial structure is very simple, they are very complex in behavior. In seeing the structure, they are very simple. But their activities, their behavior is very complex. Compared to many other organisms, bacteria as a group show the most extensive metabolic diversity. Compared to many other organisms, bacteria as a group, they show what? The most extensive metabolic diversity in the metabolism. Some of the bacteria are autotrophic. That is, they synthesize their own food from inorganic substrates. See here, some of the bacteria are autotrophic. That is, they synthesize their own food from where? Inorganic substrates. They may be photosynthetic autotrophic or chemosynthetic autotrophic. This we already told. In the mode of nutrition, in the tabular form when we were learning, that time it was discussed that autotrophic in that both chemosynthetic and photosynthetic. The vast majority of bacteria are heterotrophs. That is, they do not synthesize their own food, but they depend on other organisms or on dead organic matter for food. So in this paragraph, we are learning about the structure and the mode of nutrition. So according to the mode of nutrition, they are both the type autotrophic and the majority are heterotrophic. In autotrophic, both the type photosynthetic autotrophic and chemosynthetic autotrophic. In heterotrophs, they are depending on other organisms or on dead decaying matter, means parasitic we can say that, and even they are depending on dead organic matter, means we have to understand they are saprophytes also there. So parasitic and saprophytic mode of nutrition. So now we are going to learn about the classification of kingdom Monera. First, Archaebacteria. Second, Eubacteria. Okay, so now from the first Archaebacteria. These bacteria are special. Why? Since they live in some of the most harsh habitats, that is the difficult or the hard habitats, such as extreme salty areas, that is halophiles. What they are known as? Halophiles. So what are halophiles? They are the bacteria which are living in extreme salty areas known as halophiles. So Archaebacteria are the bacteria, they are special since they live in some of the most harsh habitat. In that, the bacteria which are able to live in extreme salty areas are known as halophiles, whom are able to survive in hot springs known as thermoacidophiles. Thermo means hot, heat. Thermoacidophiles, and whom are able to live in marshy areas known as methanogens, methane producing methanogens. So Archaebacteria are special because they are living in some of the most harsh habitats such as extreme salty areas, so they are known as halophiles, hot springs thermoacidophiles, and marshy areas methanogens. Archaebacteria differ from other bacteria in having a different cell wall structure, and this feature is responsible for their survival in extreme conditions. So why they are able to live in extreme conditions? What makes the difference from other bacteria? Actually, they are having a different cell wall structure, and this structure, this feature is responsible for their survival in extreme conditions. Methanogens are present in the gut of several ruminant animals such as cows and buffaloes, and they are responsible for the production of methane or biogas from the dung of these animals. So see once again, methanogens, that means whomsoever living in marshy areas, they are known as methanogens. Methanogens are present where? In the gut of several ruminant animals such as cows and buffaloes, and they are responsible for the production of methane or biogas from the dung of these animals. These methanogens or these bacteria, they are responsible for the production of methane or biogas from the dung of these animals, dung of this cow, buffalo, etc. So we are discussing about halophiles, thermoacidophiles, methanogens based on the habit of bacteria which are able to survive in extreme habitats or extreme conditions. Clear for you? Okay. Second, eubacteria. There are thousands of different eubacteria or true bacteria. Eu means related eukaryotic, also I told you that U means true. So there are thousands of different eubacteria or true bacteria. They are characterized by the presence of a rigid cell wall, and if they are motile, they are having a flagellum. Locomotory organ is flagellum and cilia. So here, if they are motile, they are having flagellum, and even they are having a rigid cell wall, hard cell wall. The cyanobacteria, also referred to as blue-green algae, have chlorophyll A similar to green plants and are photosynthetic autotrophs. Listen here. The cyanobacteria. They are also referred to as what? Blue-green algae. They have chlorophyll A that is similar to green plants and are photosynthetic autotrophs. In the figure it is given filamentous blue-green algae nostoc. Blue-green algae, that is cyanobacteria. Example in the figure given, that is of nostoc. The cyanobacteria are unicellular, colonial filamentous, freshwater or marine or terrestrial algae. So what are cyanobacteria? The cyanobacteria are unicellular, colonial or filamentous, freshwater or marine or terrestrial algae. The colonies are generally surrounded by gelatinous sheath. If they are found in a colonial form, this colony is surrounded by what? A gelatinous sheath. You can see here in this figure, there is a mucilaginous sheath. That blue color like that you can see, it is labeled there. Mucilaginous sheath, a covering is there. They often form blooms in polluted water bodies. So it is an indication of polluted water. Means if they are present, then we have to understand there is the presence of cyanobacteria. Some of these organisms can fix atmospheric nitrogen in specialized cells called heterocyst. Example nostoc and Anabaena. Listen here. They often form blooms in polluted water bodies. A large area they are covering there. So found as a bloom. And it is an indication of polluted water body. And some of these organisms can fix what? Atmospheric nitrogen, and for that they are having specialized cells in their body, that is known as heterocyst. In the figure it is labeled there, you can see some specialized cells are present and that cell is known as heterocyst. Example is nostoc and Anabaena. Now chemosynthetic autotrophic bacteria oxidize various inorganic substances such as nitrates, nitrites and ammonia and use the released energy for their ATP production. So we told that here photosynthetic also there, chemosynthetic also there. In photosynthetic they are having chlorophyll A, which is similar to the chlorophyll present in green plants. And when coming to chemosynthetic autotrophic bacteria, they are oxidizing various inorganic substances such as nitrates, nitrites, ammonia, and they use the released energy for their ATP production. ATP, you know that, adenosine triphosphate. And they play a great role, an important role in recycling nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron and sulfur. This topic you would have learned in 9th standard, different cycles, nitrogen cycle, phosphorus cycle, sulfur, iron, like that. In that, these bacteria, this chemosynthetic autotrophic bacteria play a greater role in recycling nutrients. So in recycling nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron and sulfur, this chemosynthetic autotrophic bacteria play a great role. So this is regarding eubacteria and in that autotrophic bacteria, photosynthetic and chemosynthetic. Now in bacteria, heterotrophic also there. Heterotrophic bacteria are the most abundant in nature. They are found in large number. The majority are important decomposers. Many of them have a significant impact on human affairs. They are helpful in making curd from milk. So means how these bacteria are helpful for human beings. For that question, this can be answered. Many of the bacteria are helpful in making curd from milk. Lactobacillus, you know. Production of antibiotics. Fixing nitrogen in legume roots. So see here, the majority are, first of all we told that heterotrophic bacteria are the most abundant in nature and the majority are important decomposers. Many of them have a significant impact on human affairs. For example, they are helpful in making curd from milk, and some of them are helpful in the production of antibiotics, and some of them are helping in fixing nitrogen in legume roots, etc. Some are pathogens. So when they are beneficial, some of them are harmful also there. And legume roots, leguminous plants there, pea plants there. In their roots, root nodules there, and in that is atmospheric nitrogen fixing bacteria like cyanobacteria, that is Nostoc and Abena like that present. So now we are coming to disease causing bacteria. Some are pathogens causing damage to human beings, damage to crops, damage to farm animals and pets. Some are pathogens. Pathogens means you have to understand disease causing organism. So see here, some are pathogens causing damage to human beings, crops, farm animals and pets. Cholera, typhoid, tetanus, citrus canker are well-known diseases caused by different bacteria. So the diseases caused by bacteria, if you have to cite examples, whatever you can remember, cholera, typhoid, tetanus, citrus canker, etc. So what is the citrus canker? Citrus word you know, na? Related to what? Orange, lemon like that. Okay, no problem. Please write down citrus canker. Citrus canker is a disease affecting citrus species caused by the bacterium Xanthomonas, Xanthomonas, Xanthomonas axanopodis, Axonopodis. Full stop. Once again listen. Citrus canker is a disease affecting citrus species caused by the bacterium Xanthomonas axanopodis. Full stop. Infection causes lesions, Lesions. Lesions means cut, wound. Infection causes lesions on the leaves, stems and fruit of trees including lime, orange, grape. Second point once again. Infection causes lesions on the leaves, stems and fruit of trees including lime, orange, grapes. So in this paragraph we were discussing about the use and damage of bacteria. Now we are going to learn about the reproduction in bacteria. Bacteria reproduce mainly by fission. In the figure you can see a dividing bacterium. Fission means you have to understand it's splitting into two. Fusion is joining, fission is splitting. So here you can see one bacterium, it is dividing into two. Cell wall you can see, cell membrane is there, even the genetic material DNA is also dividing and passed to both of the daughter cells. Bacteria reproduce mainly by fission. Sometimes under unfavorable conditions they produce spores. Fission, sporogenesis, all these are coming under asexual reproduction. And they also reproduce by sort of sexual reproduction by adopting primitive type of DNA transfer from one bacteria to another. Listen here, asexual reproduction by fission and formation of spores. Sexual reproduction is there, and that is by adopting primitive type of DNA transfer, means from one to another, that is transferring there. And the next point is very important. The mycoplasma, underline please, it's very important. The mycoplasma are organisms, they completely lack cell wall. Listen, the mycoplasma are organisms, they completely lack cell wall. It can be asked in MCQ test. The mycoplasma are the organism that completely lack. So which is the microorganism which completely lack a cell wall? Coming under bacteria. So what you can write down? Mycoplasma. MYCOPLASMA. And they are the smallest living cells known and can survive without oxygen. So again the question can be asked. Which are the smallest living cells known? Which are the smallest living cells known? Again we can write down the answer, mycoplasma. And the smallest living cell known and which can survive without oxygen. Again the answer is coming same, mycoplasma. Many mycoplasmas are pathogenic in animals and plants. So many mycoplasmas are disease causing in animals and plants. So in this topic, that was of kingdom Monera. First of all we discussed about where they are found. Then we learnt about their classification into 4 types based on the structure, based on the shape. Then we were discussing about 2 types of bacteria mainly which are coming under kingdom Monera, that is Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. Archaebacteria, according to the special nature of them, because of that they are able to survive in extreme conditions. So if they are able to live in extreme salty areas, we have given a name that is known as halophiles. Hot springs, thermoacidophiles. Marshy areas, methanogens. And then we discussed about eubacteria. Thousands of different eubacteria present. And they are characterized by what? The presence of a rigid cell wall. And if they are motile, they are having flagellum. Flagellum singular, flagella plural. And the cyanobacteria. It's a photosynthetic autotrophic bacteria. And in that we told that they are unicellular, colonial, filamentous, freshwater, marine or terrestrial algae. And if in a colony they are having a gelatinous sheath, mucilaginous sheath covered. And polluted water body indication is also because of this bloom of this algae. And algal bloom you would have heard. And some of them can fix atmospheric nitrogen in specialized cells called heterocyst. In them examples Nostoc and Anabina. Then we told about chemosynthetic autotrophic bacteria. Their important role in recycling nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron, sulfur we told. Then we came to the topic of heterotrophic bacteria, the most abundant, the importance of them, the use of them, the damage which they cause to human beings, crops and all we discussed. Main diseases we told. Then related to reproduction we discussed asexual and sexual. Then we told about mycoplasma. They are the organism which completely lacks cell wall and the smallest living cells known and can survive without oxygen, and many of them are pathogenic disease-causing organisms in plants and animals. So dear students, today whatever topic we learnt, please you have to go through that, try to understand the concept, learn the names, examples very carefully. Thank you so much for the session. Have a nice day to you.
Kingdom Monera. As we know, there are different types of organisms living on this planet. These living organisms are quite enormous in number and highly diversified in their characters. For better approach, living organisms have been classified into different groups by different workers. Carl Linnaeus, known as the father of classification, classified organisms into two kingdom systems, Kingdom Plantae and Kingdom Animalia. But this system had a number of demerits. Subsequently, R. H. Whitaker, an American taxonomist, in 1969 proposed the five-kingdom classification and divided the living world into 5 kingdoms: Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. Whitaker's 5-kingdom system is based on 5 factors: complexity of cell structure, complexity of an organism's body, mode of nutrition, lifestyles, and phylogenetic relationships. Let's understand these 5 factors one by one. The first factor is the complexity of cell structure. On the basis of the nucleus and other characteristics, 2 types of cells are recognized. The first type is a simple primitive cell known as prokaryotic cell, as in the case of bacteria and algae. The second type of cell is an eukaryotic cell which has a complex structure and is found in fungi, plants and animalia. The second factor is the complexity of an organism's body. The earliest organisms were unicellular. Later on, complex eukaryotic forms evolved, and in due course of time, they evolved into multicellular organisms. The third factor is the mode of nutrition. There are 2 modes of nutrition: autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition. The process by which organisms synthesize their own food is known as autotrophic nutrition. For example, plants and certain bacteria. In heterotrophic nutrition, organisms depend on other organisms or plants for their food. Heterotrophic nutrition is of 3 main types: holozoic, saprophytic, and parasitic. Holozoic mode of nutrition refers to the intake of solid food and breaking it into a simple form. In case of saprophytic nutrition, organisms obtain their food from dead and decaying organic matter, while in case of parasitic nutrition, organisms depend partially or completely on other organisms for their food, causing damage to the host organisms. The fourth factor that was considered while making this 5-kingdom system is the lifestyle. On the basis of the lifestyles, organisms have been put into 3 groups. The first group is that of producers. Plants which utilize light energy, water and carbon dioxide to synthesize their organic food are producers. The second group based on lifestyles is that of consumers, which are animals that consume either plants or other animals to survive. The third group is that of decomposers, such as bacteria and fungi, which depend on the dead remains of plants and animals for their food and decompose them. The last and the fifth factor is the phylogenetic relationship. Phylogeny is the evolutionary history of organisms and an index of true relationship among organisms. All kingdoms are arranged to show the probable phylogenetic relationships among them based on fossils and other evidences. Such arrangement allows us to visualize an increase of complexity with evolutionary time. Let's look at each kingdom one by one. The first kingdom is Monera, which represents the earliest group of organisms. They are the most numerous of all organisms with a single drop of water, estimated to contain 50 billion bacteria. Monorins are unicellular, microscopic prokaryotic organisms such as bacteria. These organisms usually live in a moist environment and are found in hot springs, under ice, in deep ocean floors, deserts, as well as within the bodies of animals and plants. Being prokaryotes, monorins lack a definite nucleus, but the nuclear material consists of a coiled naked strand of DNA which is not enclosed in the nuclear membrane. Some monorins show autotrophic nutrition and some show heterotrophic nutrition. Autotrophic monorins can produce their nutrients either by photosynthesis or chemosynthesis. For example, cyanobacteria are photosynthetic bacteria and Nitrosomonas, a nitrifying bacteria, is a chemosynthetic bacteria. Heterotrophic monorins exhibit different modes of nutrition. Some are saprophytes, that is, they obtain their nutrients by breaking down complex organic compounds from dead and decaying matter, and are also known as decomposers. Some are parasitic, that is, they live on other living organisms, causing them damage. Rickettsia and Chlamydia are parasites found in eukaryotic cells. Monorins move with the help of flagella or by axial filaments or by secreting slime. Flagella sweep in a propeller-like motion to help the bacteria move. The axial filaments cause the cell to rotate and move like a corkscrew. When bacteria move by secreting slime, they glide along surfaces. Most monorins reproduce asexually through binary fission, where the DNA duplicates and each daughter cell receives one molecule of the DNA, and thus they are genetically identical. Binary fission does not allow genetic diversity, which is needed for the bacteria to withstand the changing environment. Bacteria reproduce sexually by the process of conjugation. During this process, two bacteria attach to each other with the help of a pilus, and the DNA material is transferred from one bacterium to another, giving a scope to genetic diversity. Organisms in Kingdom Monera do have some means of defense. In some species of bacteria, there is a capsule made of polysaccharide peptidoglycan which covers the cell and protects the bacterium from phagocytosis by white blood cell or from desiccation. When living conditions become too harsh, bacteria develop a high resistant and dormant wall around their DNA and a bit of cytoplasm called the endospore. The endospore may resist up to years of freezing as well as drought. The rest of the cell that has not been covered by the endospore dies. When the conditions become suitable for the bacteria to become active again, the endospore becomes an active cell. The cyanobacteria form resistant spores called acinids, that is, in large cells around which a thickened outer wall develops. Monorins are divided into three major groups: eubacteria, archaebacteria, and cyanobacteria. Subkingdom Archaebacteria includes primitive anaerobic bacteria that live in conditions such as high temperatures, acidic pH, absence of oxygen, which are too harsh for other living organisms. The subkingdom Archaebacteria includes methanogens, halophiles, and extreme thermophiles. Methanogens produce methane gas and live in swamps, sewage, animal gut, or other anaerobic habitats. Halophiles are salt lovers. They live in high salinity habitats, brackish ponds, salt lakes, and near seafloor volcanic vents. Extreme thermophiles are heat lovers that live in hot springs, acidic soil, and near hydrothermal vents where temperature is usually 2500 degrees Celsius. Subkingdom Eubacteria includes typical bacteria that exist today. Cyanobacteria are blue-green algae which contain chlorophyll and other pigments and are aquatic in nature. They were a part of Kingdom Plantae earlier, but because they are prokaryotes, they were placed in Kingdom